Yeah, hello guys. Today we'll discuss about some of the important questions on software testing. So that will be helpful for the persistent company, the placement process. So we'll discuss the different types of software testing concepts and the questions. So in persistent system, you will get the questions. So that is based on the scenarios. So they will give some scenario and ask about how means which type of the testing is suitable for the particular testing method. Means that particular scenario, which type of the software testing is suitable. Okay, so the first is that software review. So there is a difference. There is a difference in software review and formal technical review. Software review means it's a general it works as a filter for the software process. It helps to like uncover the errors and defects in the software. So software means it's a general broad term where to find the errors or the defects in the software system. So software review that enhances the quality of the software. So software review that enhances the quality of the software. Software review that refines the software including the requirements, the design models, code and testing data. So a formal technical review is a software. Okay, so the technical review. Formal technical review is software quality control activity. In this activity, the software developer and the team members are involved. So formal means it is a standard, like formal means the a standard team, the professional team is involved in the testing of the software. So formal technical review means the software developer, other team members, they are involved in a formal technical review. So here, what is the objective? Objective of the formal technical review: to uncover the errors, to verify that software under the technical review meets its requirements. Okay, verifying the software under the technical review meets its requirements, and to ensure that the software must follow the predefined standards, the whatever the standards they are fixed uh, during the requirement analysis, and to make the projects more manageable, so these formal technical review this formal technical review that includes the walkthrough means they will go through all the details and inspection. So you may get a question like what are the different like in the formal technical review, what are the process will go. So you can explain like in the formal technical review. Okay, walkthrough of the like a design code or the inspection. So these are the different the steps will go in the formal technical review: walkthrough, inspection. So each formal technical review is conducted as a normal meeting, and formal technical review will be successful only if it is properly planned and executed. So formal technical review, it is a planned and executed activity. Okay, so in formal technical review, what is involved in formal technical review? Walkthrough and inspection. Okay, walk through the, they will go through the design coding documents, walkthrough, and the inspections. So these are the different processes that we will go in the particular formal technical review activity. So what are the attributes of the good test cases? The test case is very important. Okay, so the following are the attributes, or we can say the properties of the good test case. A good test case has the high probability of finding errors. How we can say, like, the good test case or bad test case? Good test case means there is a high probability of finding the errors. So that is called as the one of the main attributes. How we can say it is a good test case means because it is finding the error. This particular test case, the particular test case, as we write a number of test cases. So if the particular test case I will explain it over an example. So a test case means there is a high probability of finding the errors. To find the maximum error, the testers and developers should have complete understanding of the software and attempt to check all the conditions that how the software might fail. Okay, we need to check all the conditions that how the software might fail. So this is very important, the point. We need to check all the conditions on how the software might fail. So for that we need to write the test cases. A good test is not a redundant. I mean there should not be any duplicated test cases. Every test should have a different purpose from the other. Otherwise the tester will repeat the testing process for the same condition. So there should not be the duplicates in the test cases. A good test should be neither too simple nor too complex. The test cases, it should not be simple also, and it should not too complex. So in general each test should be executed separately, and if we combine more than one test into one test case, it might be very difficult to execute. Okay, so we should not combine. Means if you combine the more than one test into the test case, what happens? It won't find the errors. Okay, so that's why we need to do the individual test case. So I'll discuss one example where how we can do the testing. Well, that is test cases. Test case example. Let me check. Okay, yeah, just I will take this one. So this file is about decision table. Okay, so here in this particular diagram, so there are two fields like email and password, right? So for these two fields we need to write the test cases, email and password. So what are the the conditions, the test cases? Like this is the one case, like username and password both were wrong, and the user shown an error message. All right, so this is one test case. One test case is that here in this particular document, in this particular document, here, like, I can show you. So for this particular, yeah, so here it is a username or email ID, and it is password, right? So the first test case, the correct username and password, correct username and password is also correct, right? If both are correct, the login is success. So this is the first test case. If the test case is correct and password, suppose if I provide a wrong password, then this login should be fail. Okay, so this is the second test case. Third case is so this username is wrong and this is correct. Alternate means we need to write the test cases with the different conditions. One more test case is this username is blank, means you are not providing any input. Password is also blank, you are not providing. And once you click on this login button, so it should not log in, means failure. It should not log in. Okay, login should be fail. So likewise, we need to read the different test cases. Okay, so here the case one, username password both were wrong, the user shown an error message. This is one test case. Second is username was correct but the password was wrong, so one of the condition is wrong and the user is shown an error message. Okay, this is second test case. Third case is user was wrong, username was wrong but the password is correct, then the user is shown an error message. So that is the third condition. And fourth one is username password both were correct, so user is navigated to home page. So like this we need to write the test cases, right? Okay, let's come back to this document. So like the good test case means it should find the error, it shouldn't find the error, so then only we can say it is a good test case. Then let us discuss the cyclomatic complexity with example. So this cyclomatic complexity is a software metric. This is a software metric that measures the logical strength of the program. Okay, logical strength, or we can say it is used to measure the complexity of the program. Okay, means how it takes time to execute the program. So it was developed by the Thomas J. McCabe. The cyclomatic complexity is calculated by using the control flow graph of the program. Cyclomatic this complexity, it is calculated by using a control flow graph of the program. In the flow graph, the nodes are represented by the circles and areas bounded by the edges and nodes are called the region. You don't worry about all these things. So here just you keep in mind cyclomatic complexity. So this it find out the like how the complexity, it is a software matrix, it is called as software matrix. Software matrix means it is measures how the time complexity and how complex is their program, right? So this I can explain with one example. So that is yeah, cyclometric. Here this is the cyclomatic complexity of a code section is a quantitative measure of the number of linearly independent paths. It is a software metric, right? It is a software software metrics that is used to indicate the complexity of the program. Okay, it is used to indicate the complexity of the program, and it is computed using the control flow graph. The cyclomatic complexity means it is one of the software metric. It is one of the software metric and it is used to indicate the complexity of the program, right? So for example, if the source code that contains no control flow statement, means if it's a very simple program, if there is no control flow statement, then its complexity will be 1, because it is a sequence of instructions, like linearly. There is no loop in the particular program, and the source code contains a single path in it. Okay, so there is a single path, I mean, there is no complexity. Similarly, if the source code contains, like suppose if there is a if condition, it means if there is a condition, then the cyclomatic complexity will be 2, because here path is involved. Means if this particular condition is true, then it will execute the two, like there are two statements, one is true and false, right? So for example here, this particular program, suppose here if b is greater than c, if this condition is true, then it execute the statement like a is equal to b, else a equal to c. Here the means the complexity will increase compared to the, like, sequence of without any like decision conditions and all. But if there is one condition, means the complexity will be increased. So this is very simple, but suppose if the loop are involved, then the complexity will be more. So what is the use of this cyclomatic complexity means? It determining the independent path execution. That's proven it's very helpful for the developers and testers. It can make sure that every path have been tested at least once, and it focuses more on the uncovered paths. Code coverage can be improved in this technique, cyclomatic complexity. Code coverage can be improved, and the risk associated with the program can be evaluated. So this is one of the software metrics that is help you use to reduce the risk. Okay, so cyclomatic complexity. Then we'll go for next concept. So that is structure based testing, right? Structure based testing. So structure based testing technique are also termed as white box testing technique, structure based testing, or it is also called as glass testing. It is also called as glass testing, white box testing, structure based testing. Okay, the names are same. Okay, so in the structure based testing technique, also termed as white box testing technique, and these are dynamic techniques. They use the internal structure of the software to derive the test cases. Means in this structure based testing, they will analyze the code. As just now I have seen one particular code. So here in this particular, this structure based means they will analyze the code. Okay, they will analyze the code. So here, so they will check the conditions. If this particular a value is 10, if this particular a value is 10, then if a is 10, and they will check the condition if b is greater than c. If the b value is greater than c, then this particular, they'll analyze the code, analyzing the code, analyzing the code. So that is called as structural testing. Structural testing, or it is also called as white box testing, white box testing or white, and also it is called as glass testing. Glass means we are testing the internal details of the software. Okay, so they uses the internal structure. Okay, they uses the internal structure of the software to derive the test cases, and they are usually termed as the white box or the glass box techniques. Okay, it is usually called as white box or the glass box techniques. They need to have a knowledge on how the software is implemented and how it works. So they need to know any of the programming language to know how the software is tested. Let us discuss one more concept, that is a component testing. So structural testing means it is also called as white box testing, and here we need to analyze the code, right? So in this component testing, component means it is also called as unit testing or module testing or the program testing, and it looks for the defects in the software and it verifies its functioning. It can be done in isolation from the rest of the systems depending on the context of the development life cycle. So here in this mostly there are two concepts. The stubs and drivers are used that replaces the software, that missing software that replaces the this missing software and simulate the interfaces between the software components in a similar manner, right? So this concept is very important. Like here if for example this is one module. Okay, here. Okay, right. So here this is module 1, module 2. Okay, then here there is one more module. Here there is one more module. Okay, so this one I will remove. Right. So in this case this is module 1, module 2, here module 3 and module 4. So these are the different modules in the testing, and this particular one component is called as unit testing. Unit testing. This one particular component, a single component, is called as unit testing. And suppose if there is any integration between these modules, so it is called as integration testing. Integration between the modules, right? So that is integration testing. Here there are two concepts will come, so that is called as stubs and drivers. Stubs and drivers. In integration, so unit testing means it is a one of the component. We'll do the testing of a single component. And if we do the testing of these integration between this particular M1 module and M2 module, whether if the interface is working properly or not. So that testing is called as integration testing, right? Integration testing, integration between the module. So integration testing, right? So in again integration technique there are two types. So that is top to bottom, top to bottom testing means if we test the modules from top to bottom. Okay, if we do the testing from top to bottom, right? Hmm. Suppose if I will use this particular icon. Okay, so if we do top to bottom, so that is called as top down integration. And suppose if there is a test from bottom to up. Okay, so if there is a test bottom to up, it is called as bottom up testing. Okay, bottom to up testing, bottom to up testing. Okay, so these stubs and driver concepts, these stubs and driver concepts uh, stubs and drivers. So in stubs and drivers, so here Shubham Kokne. Yeah, sure. At the end of this video I'll provide that. Okay, if you provide your email, I will email ID, then I can send this particular to this document. No issue, but better you provide your email ID. Okay, so uh, in stubs, in top down integration, in top down integration we use this stub, right? What happens, suppose if any of these module, like for example module 1 is ready. Okay, module 1 is ready means it's a working module, and module 2 is not ready. If this means if it is still under development, if this particular module is not ready, so this particular module 1 is ready but module 2 is not ready, so what we do, instead of waiting till the completion of this, okay, module 1 is ready but module 2 is not ready, so what I do, I will use the dummy module that is called as stubs, that is called as stubs to test the software. Okay, to test the software. So in top down, in top down, that is called as stubs, and in bottom up we use drivers. Okay, we use the drivers means suppose like for example if there is an integration between these two modules M3 and M4. Okay, so M4 it is ready, M4 particular this module is, if it is ready and M3 module is not ready, if this particular is not ready, so M3 is not ready, so here we use the dummy module that is called as drivers, we use drivers. Okay, so component testing, it is also called as the unit testing unit testing, or the module or programming testing. It looks for the defects in the software and verifies its functioning. It can be done in isolation from the rest of the system depending on the context of the development life cycle. So here just now we discussed about these two concepts, stubs and drivers. So these stubs and drivers are used to replace the missing software. Means if any of the software, if the module is not ready, if particular, suppose if the particular module, if this particular, if any module, if module is not ready or missing, okay, if particular module is not ready, in such case we use stubs and drivers. Stubs and drivers. Okay, so what are the decision tables and why do we use them? This is also very important, the decision tables. Decision tables are the specification based techniques which are more focused on the business logic or business rules. Decision table. Decision tables are the specification based techniques. Decision table is useful in dealing with the combination of the things like inputs. Combination of the things like the inputs, so that we can take the decision based upon the inputs. This technique is sometimes also called as cause effect table, as there exists an associated logic diagramming technique called as cause effect graphing. Okay, I will explain this with one example. The techniques of equivalence class partitioning and boundary value analysis are usually applied to this specific situation. What is this? Equivalence class partitioning and boundary value analysis. Okay, so let us discuss one more example. So here, so this is one like this values, series of values. Okay, like suppose suppose here the minimum. Okay, here like for example, like 1 to 5 means, for example, for to book a online reservation, online reservation you can book 5 seats at a time, maximum 5 seats. Okay, so if you provide the less than 5, if you provide more than 5 and less than 1, the particular field will not accept. Okay, so this is called as the valid input, right? Valid input. 1 to 5 is valid input. It is invalid input. Invalid input. Invalid input. So here also it is also invalid input. Invalid input, right? So here the valid means 1 and 5, the inputs. If you provide 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then it will be valid. Okay. So here, like suppose here the example is very simple. Suppose if the field is like 1 to 50, okay, the valid is like minimum value is 1, yeah, maximum is 50. Means at a time you can book, for example, 50 seats. Okay, if we change to 50 seats maximum, then to check that particular field, like whether it is working for 1, whether it is working for 2, 3, 4, so on up to 50. up to 50. So to write the, like, for each input value, it takes like 50 test cases, and also to check whether these invalid also whether working or not, like 51, 55, 100. So whether all these inputs are 100, 150, like all these inputs are working or not, like, and even -1, -2, -3, these are invalid inputs, right? Here in this case we use a technique called as equivalence class partitioning. Equivalence class partitioning means this is a one valid class. Okay, 1 to 50 is one valid class. It is a one valid class. Okay, then this is invalid class. So this is also invalid class, right? So here, if I test any of the one input, suppose if I take like 15, okay, suppose if I test with the value 15, means by providing the 15 input I will test whether the particular field is working or not, means whether this particular field to book the seats, whether this particular it is working with one input. Yes, if it is a valid input, and invalid, like I will take with the input as 60. If this with this 60 input, if it is working, means I am taking the one of few input from this invalid input, this valid input. So these are the different classes, valid, invalid classes. Okay, no need to write take for 1 to 50 means no need to write the 50 test cases, right? No need to write the 50 test cases. So this is equivalence class partitioning. Equivalence class partitioning means here you can take out of the minimum value is 1 and maximum is 50 to book the 50 seats, right? To book the 50 seats I will take either any one value and you just do the testing, and you can take like -3 and test. -3 means it is invalid, right? And you take 60 or 80 or 1000, it is also invalid. Okay, and this is about the equivalence class partitioning. And what about the boundary value analysis? So boundary value analysis, it is also like in continuation of the this particular equivalence class partitioning. Here also, like boundary values mainly focus on the, like for example, so this is like minimum value 5 and suppose maximum is 50, right? If suppose the same will take 1 to 50 will take, right? One is 1 to 50 is valid. So what is the boundary here? Boundary value is 2 and here 0. Here boundary value is 51, 49. Okay, so in this boundary value analysis we will write three three six test cases. Like one is like we are testing for this particular field. Okay, enter the value here. The one test case is like, first test case is that we will provide 0. For second test case we will provide 1. For third we will provide 2. For fourth test case we will provide 49. Okay, means boundary values. Fifth test case we will provide 50. Then in the sixth test case we will provide the 50 51, right? 50, 51. So how many test cases now? 6. 6 test cases, right? Hmm? So in this way, for this particular valid boundary values, we need to take the boundary values. So this is called boundary value technique. Boundary value technique of software testing, right? So the technique decision table, it is depend upon the it is the techniques of equivalence class partitioning and boundary value analysis are usually applied to specific situations or inputs. So in decision table, okay, we use these equivalence class partitioning and boundary values testing technique. Okay, so I will explain with one example also. Right, in decision table, okay, so decision table is a software testing technique. Decision table testing is a software testing technique that is used to test the system behavior for different input combinations. Okay, it tests the software behavior, means how the test will work. Okay, how the test will software will work with a different different input combinations. This is a systematic approach where the different input combinations and their corresponding system behavior that output are captured in a tabular form, right? That is why it is also called as cause effect table, where cause and effect are captured for the better test coverage. For this particular two fields, okay, login screen, let us create a decision table for this login screen, username and password. Based upon these input conditions like username, password field, and with the different combination of inputs, okay, as the definition what it says, the decision table testing, it is used to test the system behavior for different input combinations, right? So here the like there are some conditions here. T means correct correct username, correct password. F means wrong username, wrong password. F means if we use F means wrong username and wrong password. E means error message is displayed. H means home screen, means once the login is success, right? So for this decision table, it is decision table for this login field, right? Login field. The condition is like the username. If the username, if username is true, password is true, okay. T means true, right? Username and password field. Rule one, what it is saying, it is fail, means here we are written some test cases. So based upon the test cases, like what is the test case one, username and password both were wrong. We are providing both username and password were wrong. The user shown an error message. Okay, here in this particular rule, the username wrong, password is wrong. Okay, F means what, wrong username and password. So what is the output? We'll get error, we'll get a error message. Similar to the second rule, okay, second case, username was correct but password was wrong, so the user is shown an error message. In the means we need to, means it is a type of testing decision table. Okay, here for we have to use the different combination of inputs to test. If this username is true, password is wrong, then you will get error message. And third rule is that if the username is wrong, password is correct, you will get error. If both are true, username is true, password is also true, then you will get the home screen. Means login is successful and you will jump to the home screen, means the home page of the once the login is successful. So in this way you have to write like different scenario, means the test cases by using the decision table. So here there are like conditions with the different test cases, like to check the format. Let us like if it is also one more example to upload the JPEG file with size not more than 32 KB and with a resolution, okay, to upload the photo. So for this we write some different test cases. Like here we are mentioned the to upload the image, there should be the size should not be more than 32 KB, 32 KB, not more than 32 KB, and the resolution is 137 into 177, right? The test case, like case 1, the format dot jpg, the less than 30 KB, the resolution, the output. If these conditions are met, JPEG less than KB and the required resolution, so the photo is uploaded. Okay, suppose if this format is correct, if it is less than 32 KB, but the resolution not correct, then it should display an error message as error message resolution mismatch, right? So these are the different cases where we write the test cases. Here one more case, format is correct, okay, dot jpg, but size is it's greater than 32 KB, greater than or equal to. Here this is condition is false, but resolution is okay, resolution is correct, but again you will get the error because here the size is not required, because the size should be, it should be less than, the size should be less than the 32 KB. So in this way you have to write different test cases for this particular scenario, right? Okay, so this is about the decision table. Next we will discuss about exploratory testing. What is exploratory testing? Exploratory testing approach, testers are involved in a minimum planning and maximum test execution. Explore the things, okay, explore without any planning, so that is called as exploratory testing. Hmm. So you don't have any test cases, or you don't have any like proper planning, and you just test the particular software, that is exploratory testing. So you may get a questions in the exam like for a particular scenario, okay, with the minimum planning and maximum test case execution, minimum planning and maximum test execution, which type of testing is suitable, so that is called as exploratory testing. The planning includes the creation of a test charter, that is test case documents, a short declaration of scope of the short time box test effort. The objective and possible approaches are used. The test design and test executions are performed parallelly without any formal documentation. So here we are not followed any formal documentation, without planning, without means without, we don't have the all the test cases, okay, without like, just consider you are like purchasing a new mobile phone, and how you do, like you start the mobile phone without referring any the, I think in a mobile phone they will provide one manual. Okay, when you purchase a new mobile phone they will provide a manual to follow the instructions, to go through the instructions and all. They will provide a pin, in the pin in the mobile box, to insert the sim card in the mobile phone. So all the procedures they given in in that particular box. But we won't go all these details. We just explore, we just open the box, we we use we start the mobile, we go for like how it works, and we'll just explore the things. So that is called as exploratory testing. Okay, so next concept is differentiate between the retesting. Okay, retesting and regression testing. Okay, so retesting, first we'll go for regression testing. Regression testing means, it means that testing a new bug, testing new bug fixes to ensure that they don't cause problems to occur involving the problems fixed earlier. I mean, suppose here, this is very important. Regression testing here, suppose here this is one module, this is another module. Okay, it is module 1. Okay, module 2, and this there is integration between module 1 and module 2. Okay, so so it is deployed, the modules are deployed, integrated, and after the means, like after completing the complete software, okay, all the modules are integrated, and some of the defects, the bugs are arise, the defects that arise in the module 1. So once the defects are arised, so these defects are fixed. Okay, these defects are fixed in the module 1. So after fixing the defects, once the defects are fixed, okay, once the defects are fixed, so it should not affect to the integrated module. Okay, initially the defects are arised, but so those defects are fixed, right? And after fixing those defects, it should not affect the integrated module. It should not affect the integrated module. So that is called as regression testing. The process here involves the running the different suite of tests. Okay, then retesting, it means that testing a single defect that was just fixed. Okay, retesting means after fixing the defect we'll test. Okay, it is a testing, it means testing a single defect that was fixed. Only one test is performed here. The target is to ensure that the defect that was just fixed was actually the fixed earlier. It was actually fixed earlier. Okay, so that is the retesting. Okay, next we'll discuss about the list the prerequisite for white box testing. Prerequisite for white box testing. The prerequisite for white box testing are similar to that of the black box testing, with one major difference is that during this white box testing, the tester have access to the application logic. The tester should ask for the access to detailed functional specification and requirements, design documents, both high level design document, and also he will go through the source code. The tester analyzes the source code and prepares the functional test cases. Okay, yeah, with I'll explain this the white box testing. Okay, so before that we'll go for So this is like, right, this is black box testing. Black box testing, here we provide the input and output. Just will focus on input and output. Okay, so that is called as black box testing. Black box testing means we'll test the different functionalities without looking the internal details, without looking the any internal details. Hmm. without looking the internal details of module. So that is called as white box. This is black box testing technique. We just mainly focus on the inputs and the expected output. We call it as expected output as per our flowchart. We are bothering about only the input and expected output. This expected will compare with the actual output when we do the testing. If both are matching, if these both expected and actual, if they both are matches, then our test case is pass. The test case is pass. Okay, so this is about the black box testing. So what is white box testing? So white box testing means it is a box here and yeah, the input, output. Okay, so there was code, no? Okay, so this one I'll take. mm, yeah, perfect. Perfect it is. So in the white box testing, so it is called as white box testing technique. White box testing technique. As you can compare in the black box and white box, what is the difference? In the white box, you will analyze the code. You will analyze the code. Okay. So you will analyze the code. What is the code is written in the white box? Like here, the initialized code is equal to 10, and if we'll check the condition b is greater than c, then condition is true, a is equal to b, else a is equal to c, and if print a b c. So we'll analyze the code. Here we are analyzing the code, of the software. Okay, so this is called as white box testing. White box testing. So I hope you understood white box and black box testing technique. So just one difference, this is black box testing, right? Black box testing where you are not bothering about the internal details, you are not checking the logic. Okay, you are not checking any logic of the program, you are just providing input and just checking the expected output. So that is about the white box testing technique. So here in white box testing, you need to analyze the source code, the design documents with respect to the design document, and with respect to this requirement analysis and all, you have to check. So so white box testing, the white box testing, the prerequisite, like you should know the programming logic, you should analyze the code, you should know any programming language, you should analyze the document. Okay, the requirements and all, the requirement document, design document also you should go through before, because a white box means in the coding stage, it is in the coding stage we do the testing of the code. And this we covered just now, we covered this drivers and stubs. So these drivers we used in the bottom up integration testing, bottom up, and these stubs we use in the dummy module in the top to bottom testing, top to bottom testing. Okay, so drivers and stubs are the part of incremental testing or the integration testing. The two approaches, okay, even you may get MCQ. Are the stubs and drivers are the part of incremental testing? Yes, incremental testing. The two approaches are used in incremental testings are top down, bottom up methods. The drivers are used in the bottom up approach. You may get a question where the drivers are used. It is used in the bottom up approach. Bottom up approach. Stubs are used in the top to bottom. Stubs are used in the top down approach. It is the replacement of sorts for component which is discussed to test the component at it calls. Okay. Okay, so that is about the stubs and driver. So next we'll discuss stress testing. Stress, as the name indicates, it checks the robustness, how the strong is the application. Okay, it checks the robustness of the application, that is called as stress testing. It verifies that the application consistently provides the satisfactory performance under the unfavorable and extreme conditions. This includes the heavy user traffic, heavy process loads, irregular hardware clocking, and heavy utilization of the resource. Means even though means in the irregular like hardware clocking or heavy utilization of the resource also, if you are like the particular software is working fine, then means we have to do the testing. So that is called as stress testing. For example, during the exam, during the result time, so during the consider like JEE, consider the JEE exam result. So JEE exam means like the one who appear for IIT and IT, means they want to get seat in, means that is main focus. So for engineering aspirants, they write the JEE exam, and around more than 10 lakh people they write exam. More than 10 lakh, or just this is just a round figure. Okay, I mean even more than, means in one state only around 3 to 4 lakh people they will write. And for this JEE exam, if the result is displayed and if at a time if the 10 lakh people if they log into the site, and that time the site will not respond. Okay, the site will not respond. So that is stress testing, means you have to test whether it supports for like what is their limitation, whether it supports to 10 lakh people at a time if they log into the site. Okay, so it verifies the application consistently provides the satisfactory performance. Consistently means if there are, if 10 users are logged in, or if there are 50 users, or if there are 1000 users, if there are 1 lakh user, whether this particular application, whether if it is providing consistently satisfactory performance under the unfavorable and extreme conditions. Okay, means it should provide the same status, same performance. Okay, means if the traffic increases, if the particular website is not working, means it is a, the application is not it won't handle the large number of traffic. Okay, even Consider the e-commerce sites during the offer time. In these Flipkarts, Amazon and all, during the, if suppose if there is any offer, and the offer, like suppose the 15,000 mobile phone, if they are providing in 9K, okay, so this mobile will be sold out within a minute or seconds, within 1 minute or seconds, and in that many people are failed to log in also. They won't they are not able to get the page also. So that if there is heavy traffic, then the particular application will not work. Okay, so stress testing is also useful in verifying the effectiveness of error handling under the extreme conditions. Okay, stress testing to verify the effectiveness means how the software will work under the extreme conditions. So that is stress testing. So you may get question like stress testing means, suppose if the particular scenario they will give, as I explained about some e-commerce applications, so they will take some scenario and to test of the effectiveness of the application, so which testing method you use. So you can select the operation like the options like stress testing, right? Stress testing. Then sanity testing is used to ensure that multiple or conflicting functions or variables that do not exist in the system. To ensure means we are ensure that there are multiple or conflicting function or variables that do not exist in the system. It verifies that the components of the application that can be compiled without a program. The component of the application that can be compiled without a problem. Without a problem, it is compiled. So it is conducted on all the parts of the application. Sanity testing. We will discuss one example. Yes, sanity testing. Okay. Stress testing. Stress testing is a software testing that verifies the stability and reliability of the system. The test mainly measures the system on its robustness and error handling capabilities under the extremely heavy load condition. Stress testing means to test a system on its robustness, how secure, how strong it is, the application, and error handling capability under the heavy load conditions. Okay, so there is some stress here. The person is carrying some heavy weight. So stress testing that done to make sure that system would not crash under the crunch situation. System should not crash. In software engineering, the stress testing is also known as endurance testing. Endurance testing, and under the stress testing, that is application under test is stressed for short period of time to know its withstanding capacity. A most prominent use of stress testing is to determine the limit at which the system or the software or hardware breaks. Okay, the most prominent use of stress testing is to determine the limit, means whether the particular application, whether it supports for the 500 users, 1000 users, 10,000 users. So we need to determine that limit. So that is called as stress testing. Consider one example, the application under the testing that will be stressed. It will be stressed when the 5 GB of data is copied from the website and it is pasted in the notepad. Right, means notepad means this particular notepad is, suppose this is a notepad. In this particular, if you load a data of like 5 GB, then it will not respond. Okay, so you have to find the limit, how much, like the test and all, it easily it handles in the notepad. But if you copy the some video file, okay, with 1 GB or 2, then it won't handle that. So need for stress testing means during the festival time, online shopping sites may witness a spike in the traffic, or when it announces the sale. So when a blog is mentioned in a leading newspaper, it experiences a sudden surge in the traffic. So this is about the stress testing. We need to test the software application. Stress testing is also extremely valuable on the following reason: to check whether the system works under the abnormal condition. We need to check whether in this abnormal condition means, suppose if the large number of users are logged in at a time, and whether it is working properly or not. So you need to check, right? So to check whether the system works under the abnormal condition, displaying appropriate error message when the system under stress. So it should give a response. Okay, if the system is now not working means, it should give a response like some error message and all. Hmm? So the system failure under extreme conditions could result in enormous revenue loss, and it is better to be prepared for extreme conditions by executing the stress testing. So it is very important, stress testing. The goal of stress testing is to analyze the behavior of the system after the failure. After the failure. So for stress testing to be successful, a system should display an appropriate error message while it is under the extreme conditions. Okay. So there is one more term that is called as load testing. So what is the difference between this load and stress testing? Okay. Load testing and stress. So load testing is to test the software test the software system behavior under the normal workload conditions, right? Normal workload conditions, and it is just testing the simulating with the actual workload. But in stress testing, to test the system behavior under the extreme conditions, and is carried out till the system failure. Okay, so there are different types are there, no need to bother about that. Okay, so sanity testing, then okay, ad hoc testing. Then ad hoc testing, it is a type of testing that is performed without the use of planning or documentation. Ad hoc testing means here the testing is carried out without the use of planning and documentation. So that is called as, even this exploratory testing is also without the minimum planning and maximum test case execution, right? So here also without use of planning and documentation, that is called as ad hoc testing. So these tests are run only one time unless a defect is found. Only one time unless the defect is found. If the defect is found, testing is repeated, and it is carried out to be the part of the exploratory testing. Okay, it is a part of the exploratory testing. What is that? Ad hoc testing. Smoke testing. Smoke testing that covers all the basic functionality of the application. Smoke testing that covers all the basic functionality of the application. It is considered as the main test for checking the functionality of the application. It does not test the finer details of the application. Smoke testing. Here we can see that difference. Smoke testing and sanity testing. Smoke and sanity testing are the most the misunderstood topic in the software testing, and there is an enormous amount of literature on the subject. So here you can see the smoke testing and sanity testing with the help of this diagram. So here there are some initial builds. Okay, initial builds means it is executable files. Okay, the initial builds when the software is relatively unstable. Okay, we are testing. Okay, if the initial builds when the software is relatively unstable, here this we are carrying means after means these builds means these are the executable applications. Verify the critical functionalities like application starts successfully, so there is smoke testing. So here these are relatively some of the stable builds after the multiple rounds of regression test. So okay, after the multiple rounds of the regression test. So once these builds are perfect, because here we are carried out some of the multiple rounds of regression test. Relatively, these are the stable builds after the multiple rounds of the regression test. So once these builds are ready, it is passed to the sanity testing. It verifies the new functionality, the bug fix in the build. Means if there is any, like regression testing means we will fix the errors, right? We will fix the errors, and after fixing the errors, if there is any like any error, okay. So here these are the builds, right? So once these the build means it is fixed, some functionality is fixed. So after fixing this, we'll go for the sanity testing. It verifies the new functionality and bug fixes in the field. So that is sanity testing. In smoke testing, initially builds when the software is means it's relatively unstable. Okay, so these fields are passed for the smoke testing to verify the any functionalities like whether application starts successfully or not. Okay, so software build means it's a computer program which consists of only one source code file. You need to compile and link this one file to produce the executable file. Smoke testing is software testing technique that is performed post software build, means after performing the build, okay, which is performed post software build to verify that the critical functionalities of the softwares are working fine. Critical functionalities of the softwares are working fine means it is a post software build, means after building, after forming a build, we verify the functionality of the softwares are working fine. It is executed before any detailed functional or regression tests are carried out executed. The main function of smoke testing is to reject software application with defects. Reject the software application with defects so that quality assurance team does not waste the time, okay, testing broken the software application. Means like we are like suppose if there is any defects are arised in the smoke testing, then no need to send that particular software that build to quality assurance team, okay, because it's a waste of time. Okay, so smoke testing, the goal is to verify the stability, whereas sanity testing, the goal is to verify the rationality. Smoke testing is done by both developers or testers, whereas sanity testing is done by the testers. Smoke testing that verify the critical functionality of the system, whereas the sanity testing verifies the new functionality like bug fixes. Sanity testing, okay. Smoke testing is a subset of the acceptance testing, whereas it is a subset of acceptance testing. Means If the build is ready, if the build that contains no defects, then you are accepting that particular builds. Okay, so that's why it is a subset of the acceptance testing, whereas sanity testing is a subset of the regression testing. Means after the regression testing, you are doing the you are accepting or rejecting the particular testing. You are verifying the functionality. Okay, so that is here. Sanity testing means you are verifying new functional bug fixes in the build. This is after the regression testing. So here in the smoke testing, so it is a part of the acceptance testing. Okay, you are verifying the any critical functionalities in the application. Smoke and mean these smoke and sanity, it is these testings were doing to to reduce the cost, because if we send these builds to the testing team, okay, so the cost may increase, because the testing team again they spend more time, they find the bugs, and again the development team again to fix those, and again so it takes more time, the process, and also we that's why we go for a smoke and sanity testing. Okay, so next we'll go for the compatibility testing. In compatibility testing, it is a non-functional. Means compatibility will test compatibility. It is a non-functional test performed on a software system or the component for checking its compatibility with the other parts in a computing environment. So, as the name says, it checks the compatibility. Okay, so this environment covers the hardware, softwares, servers, operating systems, okay, browsers, and all compatibility testing. And integration testing we already covered, integrating different components, the interaction between the applications and hardware, file system, and other softwares. So okay, so the integration means here these are the modules, the different units, and we'll test the integration between the different modules, whether it is working properly or not. Explain the following. Explain the following. So what is this? Code complete. So code complete means the phase of the development where the functionality is implemented in entirety with only bug fixes remaining. Okay, what is that? Only the bug fixes remaining. Only the bug fixes is means the coding is done, but the bug fixes remaining. So that is code complete. All the functions from the functional specifications are already implemented. Code complete means the functionality, whatever the functionality is implemented entirety with only bug fixes are remaining. Then code coverage. Code coverage means this is an analysis method which determines which parts of the software have already been covered by the test case suite or which are remaining. Means code coverage as we discussed, whether this particular code is covered or not. This code, how much code is covered, okay, how much code is covered by the different test case. Test suite means it is a collection of the test cases. Test suite, okay, the term is different. Okay, test suite is different, and test suite. Okay, test suite means it is a collection of test cases. It is a collection of test cases, right? So that is test suite. Code inspection, a formal testing technique where the programmer reviews the source code with a group who asks the questions, analyzing the program logic, analyzing the code with respect to the checklist of historically common programming errors, analyzing its compilation with coding standards, code inspection. What do you mean by the following? Test scripts, test specification, test suits. Test script means it is usually referred to the instructions for a particular test. Test script means script means the instructions. You should know these are the terminologies. Test script means these are the instructions for a particular test, which are like in automation tool and all we use this test scripts means these are the instructions, commands to carry out the tests by using the test tool, test script. Okay, then test script specification. So this is a document specifying the test approach for a software feature or the combination or the features and the inputs, predicted results and execution conditions for the associated tests. Okay, test specification means it's test approach for the software feature or the combinations or the features. Test specification. Then test suite. So test suite is a collection of the tests which are used to validate the behavior of the application or the product. Behavior of application or the product. So that is a test suite, or it is a collection of the test cases. Collection of the test cases used to validate the behavior of the application or the product. So test suite is a high level concept grouping together hundreds, thousands of the tests related by what they are intended to test. Right? Grouping of the different tests. So that is test suite. Difference between quality assurance and testing. The quality assurance is more preventive thing. Quality assurance, more preventive thing, ensuring the quality in the company and therefore the product rather than just testing the product for a software bugs. So quality control that measures the quality of the product, while the quality assurance measures the quality of the processes, the whatever the process that we follow for testing the software application that is used to create the quality product. So quality assurance, quality control, both are the different terms. Quality assurance and quality control. Quality control. Okay. So what are the five common problems in the software development process? Software development here. Software development process problems like bad requirements. These requirements are unclear, incomplete, too general, or not testable. The requirements and they cause a problem. The requirements of the software. Some of the requirements are not clear. Some requirements are incomplete or too general. Too general, like suppose if this says like the software should be a good software. Good software means here it is a term is general. Okay, the requirement whatever they are mentioned should not like the good software or bad software. Good means it is some general term. Okay, so it is very difficult to like um, to analyze these requirements, such type of requirements. Okay, so the requirements that are unclear or incomplete, too general or unstable, so that causes the problem. So one is that bad requirements, then unrealistic schedule, the expecting too much result in too less time. Okay, so if there is a unrealistic schedule, means suppose if we work 18 hours daily, then we'll get means expecting too much result in too less time. So then it is a problem that creates in the software development process. Then inadequate testing, that lack of testing that causes the problem. Lack of testing that causes the problem, as no one knows if the system will behave as expected. Inadequate testing, and adding the new features after the development we add the new features, so that also the problem creates. Once the development is completed, and if the user wants to add some more features, so that if they are adding some more features means again they have to work, again they have to work with the from the beginning by analyzing and by adding all these new requirements. So that is also one of the problem. And poor communication with the team or with the customers. So these are the 5 common problems that we face in the SDLC lifecycle software development process: bad requirements, unrealistic schedule, inadequate testing, adding new features, poor communication. Okay, so what qualities would you look for the for a while for while hiring a test engineer? For hiring a test engineer, what qualities what qualities what qualities would you like for while hiring a test engineer? Test to break the attitude, test to break the attitude, ability to put self in customer shoes, means you need to understand the customer requirements, desire for quality and attention to details, desire to understand the quality of the software, tact and diplomacy while dealing with the others, ability to communicate on technical lines with the development team or non-technical lines with the customers, means you need to, like, the software tester, he the top software tester should be able to communicate with the development team in a technical lines, and he should also communicate with the customers in a non-technical way. So he should so tester should have the good communication skill, because he has to communicate technically with the development team and with the customers, with the end users within a non-technical. So good communication skill is required, and good understanding of software development lifecycle process, good judgment skills are needed to assess the high risk high risk areas of an application. So these are some of the qualities that they look for hiring the test engineers. So what do you mean by software quality? The quality of the software means it is a free of bugs. Yes, if the particular application is having zero errors, okay, free of bugs, means we can say yes, it is a software quality software, delivered on time. Yes, they followed the schedule and they delivered the software within time, within budget, meet the requirements, meet the customer requirements whatever they stated in the requirement phase, and is easily maintainable. The software is easily maintainable. So these are the attributes of the quality, software quality. Software quality means, suppose if you deliver the software within time, within budget, and within the, like, with as per the requirements what they are stated in the early stages. Next, the differentiate between the exception and the validation testing. So validation testing is done to test the software in confirmation to the requirements specified. It aims to demonstrate that the software works in a manner that it is expected by the customer. That is, it is expected by the customer. So exception validation means you are validating the software. Then exception testing means it deals with the handling the exceptions. Basically, this testing involves how to change the control flow of the application that is under testing when the exception arises. When the exception arises, then the when should you stop the testing? Okay, when you should stop the testing. It is pretty difficult to determine as many modern software applications are so complex and run in such an interdependent environment that complete testing is never possible. So this complete testing means you can't say that like the software is like the complete the all the like features are tested. So complete testing is never possible. You may get a questions like when to stop the testing process, when to stop. So these are the some of the factors like to stop the testing. So what is that? So deadline deadlines to release the software or to test is over. Means suppose if there is a deadlines to release. Okay, I mean these are some of the factors where you can decide when to stop the testing. If a deadline to release or test is over, test cases are completed with certain percentage passed. Suppose if there are 1000 test cases, and if you cover at least 950 test case, or if you covered all the 1000 test case, then certain percentage is passed. Means out of these 1000, at least 950 test cases are passed. Yeah, then you can decide. Okay, at least means you can stop here as the deadline is crossed. Okay, then test budget is over. Test If the test budget is over, the organization or the company, they will they decide to stop the testing. Then coverage of code functionality or the requirements has reached a specific point. The all the code coverage and the requirements whatever they are mentioned, if they are all covered, and then they can stop the testing. And bug rate is below the certain level. So while finding the bugs errors, if it is below at certain level and alpha beta testing period has ended, if alpha and beta testing is also done, means if it is working fine, the software is working fine, then you can stop the testing. So you may get a question when should you stop the testing process. So you may get these options, right? How do we zero down on the automation tools for regression testing? These are some of the criteria are used while zeroing down on the automation tools for regression testing, like risk analysis, like the personal skills, companies, software resources, cost analysis. Okay, means zero down means like to reduce the cost of testing process. Okay, so comparing the tools features with the test requirements and support for the applications like IDE and support for the application environment. As you can see, the automation tools like software testing automation tools, the Selenium software, it is a free automation testing tool. Selenium software testing tool. Selenium software Selenium software testing tool. Okay, right. So this is a free of cost open source tool to test the software. It is a open source. And if you compare with the the licensed version QTP and all, QTP. Okay, so you can compare the tool features with the test requirements. So that is about zeroed on how you can reduce the cost, right? Then next comes the topic like the other one more testing type, that is web testing. Web, as its name indicates, web testing is a software testing focusing on the web applications. Web testing, it mainly focuses on the different web applications. It helps in addressing the issues before making the applications live to public. It addresses the issues, what are the problems that occur. So before the application that live into the public, security of web applications, basic functionality of the site, accessibility to the handicapped users or fully abled users, readiness for expected traffic and all, how the particular this website, how it handles the traffic, the number of users, ability to survive a massive traffic spike, some of the issues that which are handled in these applications. So web testing, web application testing, that mainly focus on the testing of a web application and the traffic and how the the particular website will work in a heavy traffic and all. Okay, so that is web testing. What do you do if you have provided functionality that was not listed in the requirement? Okay, what do you do if you provide with the functionality is provided that was not listed in the requirements? Means the requirements that are not listed, means in the initial, there is a like in the SRS document or in the contract agreement, the customer will give some requirements. Well, after freezing the requirement, they will proceed for like requirement design coding and all. So what do you do if they are provided a functionality but that was not listed in the requirements, if those requirements are not in the contract? So if the functionality is not necessary to the purpose of the application, but it should be removed. Means if the functionality whatever is they are provided, if it is not necessary to the purpose of that application, then it should be removed. And if it is not removed, then information will be needed to determine either the testing needs or the regression testing needs. Means if that particular requirement is not removed, okay, then management should be made aware of such functionalities. Means you should inform the managements to about such requirements, and classify the following techniques into static or dynamic software testing technique. What is this? Static, then dynamic testing technique. Okay, so these are like equivalence class partitioning, use case testing, data flow analysis, exploratory testing, decision testing, inspections. Here the data flow analysis and inspection. These inspection, data flow analysis, these are the static technique. Data flow analysis, inspection, these are the static technique. And equivalence class partitioning, use case, exploratory, decision testing, these are all dynamic testing. These are all dynamic testing techniques. Why are the decision tables are used in many cases rather than equivalence partitioning and boundary value analysis? A decision table is a like based on the multiple input, it will give the output. Okay, so a decision table is a good way to deal with the combination of inputs. The techniques of equivalence partitioning and boundary value analysis, as we discussed, are often applied to the specific situations or inputs. So just previously in the start of the video, I have discussed about these black box, these equivalence partitioning and boundary value analysis, and I have taken an example of like the reservation. If we book like reservation, if we book the tickets like 1 to 50 with this particular means, so these techniques, equivalence partitioning and boundary value analysis, so these are the often applied a specific situation or the inputs. So these techniques, the equivalence class partitioning, boundary value analysis, so these are often applied to specific situations or the inputs. And it is a different combination of input result in different actions being taken. It can be more difficult to show using the equivalence partitioning and boundary value analysis, which tend to be more focused on the user interface. The other two specifications based techniques like decision tables and static state transition testing are more focused on the business logic or business rules. Okay, so decision table used in many cases rather than the equivalence class partitioning and boundary value analysis are the, it is for like specific, for specific applications. When is this RTM, requirement traceability matrix, prepared before or after the test case designing? So this is very important concept. Requirement traceability matrix, RTM. What is that? RTM, requirement traceability matrix, means we need to like trace the requirements, whether the particular requirements testing is completed or not. So requirement traceability matrix is prepared before the test case designing. Before the test case designing, the requirement should be traceable. The requirement should be traceable. Yeah. So Satyam Khandekar, how much questions will be in test from the, so you may get like on software engineering and software testing. So from software engineering concepts means the different models. From software engineering and testing, you may get 5 to 8 questions, 5 to 8 questions. But testing means you have to know all the different type of questions, like the based upon the scenario they will ask, based upon the scenarios they will ask the questions based upon the scenario. Okay, like for this particular scenario, which type of testing technique is suitable, like exploratory testing. Exploratory means suppose if you have the minimum planning and you, so in such cases you just explore the software, so that is exploratory testing. And this requirement traceability matrix is very important, and it is prepared before the test case designing. For example here, like for example, this is the test case 1, test case 2, test case 3, right, test case 4. So requirement traceability matrix means whether this particular test case means, like for example, we need to make a plan like in particular day, like in the 31st August we need to complete all these test cases, like just the plan means we at the end of the day we can like trace like these are the test cases that covered. Okay, well, after doing the testing we have to make a mark, I mean these are all test cases are covered, these are all test cases are covered. Okay, so requirement test traceability matrix is prepared before the test case designing, and the requirement should be traceable from review activities, as traceability should be there in the test plan. If the company does the testing after the development has started, then the requirement should be traceable to the source. Situation, here there is one situation. Okay, so you need to test, you get such type of questions in the persistent. You need to test a system, but there is no documentation. There is no documentation is available, and the developers who developed it do not work there anymore. Those who are developed, the developers who developed it, now they left the job, they do not work there anymore. And what would you do? Okay, you need to test, you need to test a system, but there is no documentation is available, and the developers who developed it, they do not work there, they do not work there anymore. And what would you do? So we'll perform the exploratory testing of the product, and this will give us an idea of the system and its basic workflow, how the system is, particular software application is working, right? Means there is no documentation, and also the developers who are developed it also not available. So we have to explore the software, so that is exploratory testing. And during this testing we can discover some of the blockers, some of the bugs that cause the system to crash, that causes the system to crash. So as a white box testing, you can next test the different module code, and this gives us an idea about the test cases for the different modules and the relationship between the modules. So you need to analyze the code, you need to analyze the codes inside the module, so that they can understand and they can understand the module, and they can write the test cases they can write to test the software. Okay, so this is about the particular scenario question. And what are the usual difficulties that testers face during the software testing? The difficulties, what are the difficulties that the tester face? Okay, uh, that is incomplete or unclear specification. Suppose if the any of the requirements are unclear or incomplete requirements, limited resources, if there are limited resources, or if there is a limited number of the testers are available, limited resources or limited document, means if the document is not available. So lack of planning regarding the testing approach, if there is no plan, if there is not a proper plan for testing, and unclear priorities, if there is the lack of, means if there is like the document is not available and there is no, like, which test cases to cover first, if there is no priority, then these are the different problems, difficulty they face. Then lack of time for testing, means they won't give the more time for the testing. So these are all different difficulties that faced by the tester. What cause the bugs in the causes the bugs in the software? There is unclear requirement, poor documentation, constantly changing the requirements. Suppose if the requirements are constantly it is changing, then there are some programming errors will occur. So lack of time for testing, it means even some organizations, what they do, they won't give more time for testing purpose. So lack of time, so that also cause the bugs. Means lack of time means they are not spending more time. So definitely if they are not spending more time means what happens, if they are not spending more time means definitely like the bugs will defect in the while running the while testing, while running application at the client side. So what type of software should not be automated? What type of software should should not be automated? The following types of software should not be automated. That is unable or incomplete software. unstable. Okay, such software should not be automated, means you should not use any tools like unstable or incomplete software, as they are still undergoing changes, and test scripts which are run once in a while. Suppose if the test scripts that runs once, and code or document review, still if some code is under the review, so in such cases, means like code review and all, so these are all testing techniques like proposal testing, code review. These are all different testing. Proposal testing is also one of the type of testing. Proposal testing, then code review, design review. So in such cases, you should not go for the automation testing tool. Then what are the various severity ratings in a project? There can be four types of severity ratings in a table, like showstoppers. They do not allow the applications to move at all, or application that continues with several defects. Applications works with these defects which might have the several implications, or the applications works with unexpected outputs. The applications that works with unexpected outputs and suggestions. There are some improvement suggested in the application that do not affect the performance of the application. Then explain the elementary process. Software applications are the combination of various elementary processes. So these different elementary processes are come together to form a application. So these are dynamic elementary process and static. So dynamic means the processes move the data from an internal application boundary to an external application boundary. So there is a dynamic and elementary process. Dynamic elementary means from moving the data from from internal application to external application, and in the static, that maintain the data of the applications either inside the application of boundary or external application. Then the list the flaws in waterfall model. So as you know, waterfall model, so you know, in software engineering also you may get some questions. Okay, so these are the like different models in this waterfall model. Like for example, this is the first phase, that is a requirement phase, and it is design phase. Okay, then here it is coding phase. Okay, then coding and testing phase, and here you can consider this as deployment phase of the software. So as the term in this waterfall model, these are like, once the requirement is completed, we will go for the design, and design is completed, we go for the coding, and coding, then we go for testing. After the testing, deployment. So this is the waterfall model. So here the main thing is that for this particular testing, what we are doing, the testing phase we are doing at this particular stage. Okay, in this particular phase only we are doing the testing. We are doing the testing of the particular product, particular software. Okay, so the main thing in the software testing is that to improve the quality of the software, we need to go for the early testing early testing of the software. Early testing is very important in the software application, because here we go for like the requirement analysis testing or proposal testing, and we do the review and we do the design review, and code we analyze the code using the white box testing and all. So, and also at the end of each phase there is a verification and validation process, verifying all the requirements, verifying the design, validation verification and validation at the end of the design process. So these are all very important. Means at the end of each phase we need to go for the testing, so that we can improve the quality of the software. But in waterfall model, what we are doing the testing at this particular phase, at the end of the phase, after completing all these phases. After completing all these phases, we are doing the testing. Okay. So the biggest drawback is that you do not test the application logic until very late in the development cycle. Though the detailed system specification should make the application less error. Okay, the detailed system specification should make the application less error prone, but one serious mistake that's spotted at the end might turn out to be quite expensive. Means if we detect any error at the later stages, if we find the defect, if we find the defect at the later stages, then to fix those defects again what they do, they have to go for the requirement again, they have to do the change in the design again, they have to do the coding. So it will be expensive, the cost will be more to fix those errors. So it is a expensive, right? It is a expensive. Then what is the skill set and what is the methodology behind the, not skill, it is silk test, sorry to, it is a silk test. Silk test is a software testing automation tool that is developed by the Segu software. Silk test, Segu software. The methodology behind the silk test is six phases of testing process. So that is plan, capture, create, run, and report. Plan means determine the testing strategy and define the test requirements. So capture means classifying the graphical user interface objects in your application and build a framework for running your tests, capturing those the geo objects in your application and build a framework for running your tests. Create automated reusable tests, so use the recording or programming to build the test scripts. That is here the four test language used. And then run the select specific tests and execute them against the application under test, and report, analyze the test results and generate the defect that reports. So these are some of the steps, that methodology behind the silk test: plan, capture, create, run, and report. And also the track, after the reporting the defects, track the defects in the application under testing and perform a regression testing. Okay. So with respect to this, explain what is the silk test host, silk test agent, and silk test project. So it is means silk test means it is one of the automation tool. Silk test host means silk test component that manages and execute the test scripts. It usually runs on machines different than the machine where the application under test is running. Silk test agent is a component that receives testing commands from the silk test host and interacts with the application that is under test directly. that is agent. Silk test project means is a collection of files. Collect project means it is a collection of files that contain the required information about the test project. Okay. So what is the four test? What is four test? Four test means the scripting language. Four test means it is scripting language used in the this particular tool, Silk test, to compose the test scripts to perform automated tests. Okay. So it's a robust library of object-oriented classes and methods, a set of statements, operators, and data types that you use introduce the structure, logic, and recorded test cases. Okay, library of built-in functions to perform. So here I want to say one thing is that you should at least you should go through one of the testing tool, and that is for Selenium testing tool. You can go with the Selenium testing tool. Yeah, I will show you demo on how you can use the Selenium testing component. Okay, so before going to Selenium, so just I will give the brief about what are the different Selenium testing components. So Selenium software testing, you may get some questions on Selenium software testing tool. Okay, so here you can go with this blog or guru99.com, or there is a website for this particular Selenium, that is called as seleniumhq.org. seleniumhq.org. Okay, if you go with this particular URL, seleniumhq.org, then you will get the all the details, seleniumhq.org, right? Okay, it takes some time to open the, and it is open source software. So this is the icon how it looks. Okay, seleniumhq.org software. So here these are the different components of the Selenium testing tool: Selenium IDE, Selenium Grid, Selenium WebDriver, and you go the in the documentation. Okay, so in the documentation you just go with all these details. So you may get some of the questions, and like it is not like we can expect some as per the some feedback from the students, so that 10 to 15 questions, 10 to 15 questions that received from the software testing part. Okay, 10 to 15 questions, because in persistent, if you clear the MCQ round, so if you clear the MCQ cutoff, okay, if you clear that MCQ, and definitely you will get the base package of 4.4, and if you do good in coding, then you will get 6.4 and 8.4 package. Okay, so if you clear this MCQ, I am sure 100% you will get the like 4.4 package, and and you go through some of the questions that are like related to these the Selenium components, Selenium WebDriver and all. Okay, so these Selenium IDE, Selenium Grid, Selenium WebDriver and all, they are different components of the Selenium testing tool. So here I can show you one demo where just I will Selenium IDE means it is one of the plugin. Okay, so here I have to remove this add-on. So this is a IDE plugin. Selenium, it is a testing automation tool that is developed by the company named ThoughtWorks. ThoughtWorks is the company that developed the Selenium testing tool. Okay, so this Selenium has different components. Selenium testing tool has component like Selenium IDE, Selenium WebDriver, Selenium Grid, and Selenium RC, right? So this Selenium that supports for Firefox, Chrome, Internet Explorer, Safari, Opera. These are the browsers. Okay, it supports the operating systems, programming language that is supported by the Selenium testing tool, and different versions. Selenium 1, 2, 3. Different versions of Seleniums are there, and so these are Selenium are different components, grid and IDE. So Selenium 1 means it is a Selenium IDE, Selenium RC, and Selenium grid. So Selenium 2 version means it is contains a Selenium IDE plus Selenium RC and web drivers are combined, and Selenium grid. So that is Selenium 2. Okay, so with this some explanation what to do. Here you need to add the extension. What is that extension? Here you have to just search it. It's a Selenium IDE. Okay, so it is a Firefox plugin IDE. So here it is visible. So what is that? Selenium IDE integrated development environment. So just click it, right, and then add to Firefox. Okay, it is an IDE environment for Selenium test. So just I am adding here. So once you add here, you will get icon here at the right top. You will get okay. Then for first time, okay, here you can see the Selenium IDE icon. So just I will click on that. So suppose if you are using first time, so what is the version? It's a Selenium 3 3.17.0. So it will ask like would you like to what would you like to do? Record a new test in a project, open a existing project, or create a new project, close the Selenium IDE. Okay, so here I can just like create record a new project. So here I write demo project. Just I give one name. Okay, so here you have to provide the URL means for which application we are testing, right? So here what I do, I will go with one of the like tutorial point. So the URL you have to provide. What I do here, I'll just select this tutorial point. Okay, so whatever the URL is there, no, this I will just copy, and where it is that IDE, so here this base URL I will provide, right, and just click on start recording. Okay, so once you click on this start recording, it will directly go to that whatever the base URL we are provided, and it is here you can see at the bottom right side. So there is a one red color button, it is blinking. So Selenium IDE is recording. So here what happens, so whatever the actions you do here, like for example here I just click on jobs. Okay, so here all these activities means particular that job tab is working, means I'm just checking. Okay, here facts, I'm clicking on the facts. Okay, this facts, this particular page is also working. So all these activities are recorded in the particular that this particular, where is that, this. So whatever we are doing now here, particular index, and I have clicked on this particular, so everything it is recorded here, right? Then I'm clicking the team here. So team at tutorial point. So all these are recording in this particular Selenium IDE. So now just I'll just stop here, and you give the test name as demo 1 or test 1, test case 1, test case 1. Okay, So this is how it looks. So here just you save it. So here star mark is there. Okay, so just press Ctrl S, it will save. You have to save the project, right? Here I will save this with okay, in the desktop. You can save any project in anywhere. So here these are the some of the commands like target open means it is a open command. In MCQ you may get questions in Selenium testing tool which command is used to open the, this is the URL that we provided initially, right? Means it will open that particular web page and it will test whether the particular, we tested a web application whether it is working properly or not, right? So you may get MCQ questions like these are the commands: open, set the window size, click. Okay, so these are commands you may get. So now what to do, you have to run all the test cases. So when I run this test case, what happens? Okay, so it will I will show you once again. I will just here, means it will open here it is showing like test case 1 is completed successfully, means it will open this particular URL, this window size. Okay, and this is clicking on that particular button means it is performing like a record and playback feature. Whatever we did know initially, open the tutorial point, we click, everything is recorded and played, and here that it is showing that test case is completed successfully. Okay, so in this way, so you, for more details, what you do, you just go through this Selenium, this hq.org, this website. Okay, so that is about the testing tool. Here they have mentioned silk test. Okay, then browser extension. Okay, what are the advantages of automation testing? Advantage of automation testing is that it enables the quick release, better quality, satisfied customers. Here just now I have shown, means immediately you got the result like particular test cases is pass. Okay, so with automatically run the regression test, you can concentrate on the testing new functionalities rather than spending time in testing the existing functionality. Means if you use the automation, you get more time, you can get the more time to test the other features, better quality and satisfied customers. Explain various recording modes. Just know whatever we discussed, so that is a in a Selenium ID it is a record and play feature. So the in recording mode means here there is a context sensitive and analog mode. In context sensitive, identify the GUI objects, records operation performed in the application. Analog recording means it records the peripheral inputs from the keyboard and mouse, like their cursor position and all. Okay. So WinRunner, GUI map editor. It's a tool menu within the WinRunner. WinRunner is software. What happens when GUI, graphical user interface maps are loaded? GUI maps are loaded. So all object logical names, physical descriptions, window information get loaded into the memory. When the script for particular window is executed, the objects can be identified by the information that is loaded. So this is about a WinRunner. Okay, so WinRunner testing tool. So it is also HP software company automated functional GUI. WinRunner automation tool. So you just go through this also, WinRunner automation tool. Okay, So how do you analyze the test results in the Windrunner tool? So you just go through, so this is for this automation testing tool. So here there is a situation like you want to record the data driven test. How would you do that? For data driven test, you can by using the data from a flat file, by using the data from a data table or data from the database. So how you can record the data. Data table means by using the store the data in a Microsoft Excel file using the database. So this is about that automation tool or QTP, Quick Test Professional. This is also one of the licensed testing tool. QTP, okay, QTP tool. QTP automated testing tool. It is a licensed version. QTP stands for Quick Test Professional, a product HP company. This Hewlett Packard. This tool helps the tester to perform an automated functional testing seamlessly without monitoring once the script development is complete. So it uses the Visual Basic scripting for automated applications. VB script it uses. So the tool type: test management tool, configuration management, the different statistic analysis tools. Types of tools are available in QTP. Okay. So you just go through some basic concepts. Then various object repository modes in QTP: pre-action mode, shared mode. So you can go through the Selenium testing tool, QTP, Windrunners, okay, and Silk test, some main important testing tools. Some common tools used for load testing, that is IBM Rational Rules software, IBM Rational, Load Runner by HP, Silk Performer by Bortland, OpenSTA, open source tool, and Campusware, Neotis, RadView, okay, different loading software. What type of bottlenecks that can be expected in performance testing? Performance testing can be viewed like it slow down the testing process, and it can affect the performance and scalability of the application. Okay, performance means it slow down the testing. Slow down means performance testing is slow down the testing, and it can affect the performance and scalability of the application. Some of the other these bottleneck includes increased time. It takes more time, increase the resources, appropriate monitors to determine the performance. So here there is a situation, an application is under development, and how will you develop a test case for it? The application is under development, so it is not completed, but how you will write a develop the test case for it. So for such cases, the business requirement document is used as a primary document to write the test case. So such type of questions you may get. Means our application is under development. How will you develop the test case for it? So it is, you can use the business requirement or software requirement specification documents, SRS, that can be used to write the test cases. If some complex features exist in the application, the technical design documents can also be used. Okay. So different between master test plan and test plan. Okay, so this is both the terms under master test plan and test plan. Master test plan, it is required for in all the projects. It is required in all projects. It provides the strategy to be used in to test entire project strategy. It provides like which module to be tested, the time frame, the resources, and any training required. and also it provides the block diagram showing how the testing takes place. It is complete the master plan, we can say. Test plan, it is required in each module in the white box testing, black box testing. Okay, so it is required in each module, in a white box testing, in black box testing, the different strategies and all. So that is test plan. Then what are the repositories used in the QTP testing tool to store the object properties? So here I am not covered more on the QTP. So what you do, you just go through the QTP tool. What can be the main reason for not being able to reproduce a bug? Not for not being able to reproduce a bug. What should be done in such a bug is found? A bug cannot be reproduced for the following reason: because of low memory, pointing to non-availability of memory location, and things happening in particular sequence. Okay, so these are some important types of software testing, and also what you do in the guru99.com. Go for software testing, different type of testings here you will get. Okay, and for interview preparation also it is very important. You can go different automation testing, different types, integration testing, system testing, sanity testing, and smoke regression, non-functional. Means here they are mentioned with examples so that you can understand very clearly, right? And also so the agile models and all that also are helpful for your. You may get some questions on agile testing and agile models and all. So okay, so that is Guru 99 software testing topic. Okay, so with this I will end this session.